This is GamesAtWork.biz, your weekly podcast about gaming, technology, and play. Your hosts are Michael Martine, Andy Piper, and Michael Rowe. The thoughts and opinions on this podcast are those of the hosts and guests alone and are not the opinions of any organization which they have been, are, or may be affiliated with.
This is episode 563, Space Nerds in Space. Hello and welcome again to another edition of GamesAtWork.biz. This is Michael Martine, one of your three co-hosts, and I'm delighted to be joined by the other two co-hosts of the show. That's Mr. Michael Rowe and Mr. Andy Piper. Michael, how are you doing this fine day?
I am so glad that we get to have some fun on a Friday afternoon.
Yep.
And chat and just really geek out and nerd out. And speaking of nerding out, I want to talk to one of my favorite fellow nerds. Andy, how the hell are you?
I'm good. I've cooled down a little bit. The weather, we had yet another one of these intermittent summer heat waves that we're getting, and the last few days have been a little unbearable, but it's feeling a bit more pleasant. And like you, I'm glad it's the end of the week. Although it's actually the end of the week for me, and it's nearly the end of the week for both of you. So, what have we got to chat about? We got a few things. I've totally pivoted the way that we produce the show in the last 10 minutes.
Woohoo! Well, it's always good to do something special, but let's pivot. Tell our listeners what the idea is for today.
Two ways. We've been using for a long time a relatively end-to-end Apple stack of things, and I think Pages was possibly, I don't know if both of you feel the same way. I feel like it's been struggling to meet our needs recently. We'd like to do a bit more automation in terms of gathering our links together from chat into Pages, for example, which seems not to be really very straightforward, and just these larger Pages documents with 500 shows in, or however many we've currently got in our current working doc. It's less than 500. But so I've just been suggesting we use some kind of collaborative markdown editor. So we'll see how that goes. The other thing I thought we'd kick off with, just to be a bit different, and partly because I was at EMF recently, the Electromagnetic Field Festival that we talked about last week, and looking at all kinds.
And I must say, I really enjoyed last week's show, catching up on it and listening to all the fun that you had. That was loads of fun for me.
Oh, thanks.
Hopefully our listeners enjoyed it too.
I regret not having written about the event still. I know that one of our listeners, Ian, contacted me to say that he listened and enjoyed hearing about it in my little excitement last week. But one of the things I've been thinking about is making games. And we're a show that is ostensibly about games at work. And across my radar this week floated an Adafruit piece from a couple of years ago, which highlights a tool called GB Studio, which is a GUI for building Game Boy games. It's got a bunch of tools in it for making sprites and making chiptune music and putting workflows together to move your characters around. And I'm not necessarily saying that I want to make a Game Boy game, but it seemed cool and I wanted to poke at it. And then I thought, well, what could I make a game about? And something I've been messing with quite a lot as a result of electromagnetic field is ducks. But putting ducks to one side for a moment, and pigs in space, I thought about nerds, and I thought about us, and I thought about games at work, and I thought, what would it get if you were making a GamesAtWork.biz game? What would it look like? And how high fidelity would you go? Would you go full immersion, Apple Vision Pro, like crazy high res, like, everything is almost real and manipulatable, or would it be little pixel art, three guys wandering around, picking up links, examining them?
It doesn't have to be a Game Boy game, is what you're saying, right?
I'm just wondering what a format of a game, because the platform shouldn't matter, right? If we've got a game in mind, or a story or a concept in mind, what would it look like?
So, funny thing you should ask, right? Because I've actually done this. Now,
crazy.
I did it in 2013, so it was just a wee moment ago. And I invested a whole whopping 15 minutes in creating a Games at Work podcast game using Twine.
Right. Oh, that's
so it's sort of a choose your own adventure sort of thing. And it looks like it is still up and available. So let me drop said link into our show notes here. We'll look at this. Whoa. There we are. And this game says you are the host of an internationally renowned podcast focused on games and game technology. The recording session is in 2 hours. You haven't prepared at all for the topics this week. What do you do? And it gives you several options.
One of which is not relevant anymore.
One is not relevant anymore, but it was in 2013.
Well, the correct answer, of course, is wing it, because that's what we would do.
Have you got the source for this?
Yeah.
This is an HTML page, and it says on it, and it's hosted on our blog site.
Yeah,
as you say, from 2013, which I do
it's powered by
remember.
TiddlyWiki.
Powered by TiddlyWiki, so it's just running on as in a single web page.
Yeah,
created with Tweed.
I think I remember when we did this, and you kind of shared it, and I spent time talking about the game that I wrote as a co-op for onboarding new employees and the work that they had to do. It was the same kind of Zork choose your own adventure game.
Yeah,
and building out those decision trees.
So this is a decision tree type. I mean, I think that some of that applies to GB Studio as well in terms of the kinds of games you can make. But yeah, you've got, as you say, this kind of interactive storyline where it's branching based on decisions made.
But I wouldn't create a game like this.
Okay.
Now, I actually think from a we've got to peel this back into different, design elements, right? First off, from a fidelity perspective, the natural tendency based off of our co-hosts would be to choose an 8-bit adventure. And I would decline to do that personally. The other end, like you say, a Vision Pro, that's too darn hard. I've written a Vision Pro immersive thing, and it's a lot of work. So I would probably go for something. What was there was an art style that was kind of a cartoon type art style gaming. There was like an island game, an adventure island game, and Leisure Suit Larry, and all those had these kind of art styles that were like cartoon panel looks.
Yeah.
So that would be easier. It's still hard because you got to get a look and feel. And it would be the challenge of not getting ready for a show, but actually managing the show itself, because we overtalk each other. We like to go down different rat holes, right? It would be, if you were the producer of the show, how would you handle that? That way, it's kind of like one of those God games, right, where you're controlling everybody.
I definitely thought about it in the context of 3 individuals with some form of physical or accessory kind of identifier. Let's say a sousaphone, let's say a Vision Pro, say some, I don't know, Lego or something, I don't know what it would be. And then wandering around some space, let's call it the interweb, just finding links or finding clues or things about topics. So the topics we cover would probably have to be somehow incorporated into it.
Oh, yeah. And then somehow grouped, right?
Yeah. It would have to be some kind of, I think it would be some form of treasure hunt type game that you got rewarded for more topics, more things on particular topics. I don't know. I'm struggling, as you can tell, which is why I thought I'd bring this up as a conversation starter. We should talk about gaming, though. We do actually have some links about gaming. I was just kind of wanting to have a bit of a chat with both of you and see what our future, as we move into the transmedia empire space of the phase of the podcast, and we think about where we go next. Now that we've clearly broken and won the podcasting arena.
We've won podcasting.
We've done that. I mean, right? We're ready to move on to bigger things. And I'm thinking 8-bit games is clearly the way backwards.
I actually thought what I think it's called Haex game announcement trailer that you shared this week was it reminded me, and can't remember the TV show, but there was a TV show that had this look and feel to it to me, with these aliens that were in like a dead zone, and people were like going in it, and some of them were entranced by the aliens, and some of them weren't. And so I thought the visuals were really cool. I like open world games, as we've talked about for decades now. Any type of exploratory games are a lot more fun to me than, first person shooters. But yeah, why did you think this one was interesting?
So, first of all, The Guardian does do a lot of good reporting on games. But this one came up. I don't generally read a ton of articles about gaming and interesting new games in The Guardian. It sounds interesting. It looks pretty beautiful. And I liked a couple of the elements of it, one of them being open world thing, and the other one, the procedural generation, where we've seen things like No Man's Sky and various other games. And I just thought as well that this game, Haex, so Heax, Haex, coming out for PC next year, it seemed to have some kind of wistful expansiveness. I don't know how to describe it. It seems to it wants to be something more than a first-person exploration game. And it feels like I felt like that fit with the kinds of things that the three of us have talked about for a long time. Games as like environments, Spore. Games as exploratory spaces and bonding experiences.
Yeah, I was thinking about Spore the other day when there was all that hype around it before it came out. And then I don't know how many of us bought it. I bought like the super deluxe Uber version. And it was very okay. and speaking of, procedural or not even procedural, but open world, but not open world, adventure, not first person shooter, but first person shooter games. The Expanse game that I'm playing so far has all the potentials to be this great open world game. But the beta that they've released so far to the pre-purchasers is very on-rails, story-driven, first-person shooter. And I hope it doesn't end up like that, because that would be very disappointing.
I think, we've got a few, mostly games links this week that we wanted to talk about. And I think they've all got a different twist on games, or sort of none of these seem to be pick up and play games to talk about this week. They all seem to be immersive or different or physical. This one as well, I like the fact that it talks about it being an online cooperative game, because for me, online games typically have been either massively multiplayer shooters where it's every person for themselves, or a little bit of team play, or MMO kind of raid type things. And this one talks about it being a transforming game because of the fact that it's procedurally generated. It's not massively different to No Man's Sky in that sense, but it's different in the sense that it seems to be much more grounded in a planetary, individual planetary environment. And I don't play a ton of PC games, but I'm excited and intrigued by it as a possible gaming experience for as I say, bonding and for team play.
Cool. Michael, what did you think? Did you have a chance to look at it?
I had a chance to look at it, but it's not something I would typically pick up and do. So it's interesting in the sense that that Astronauts is an intriguing name for a company. It's interesting that they somehow managed to get 4 million euros to be able to develop the games that this game that they have. This is the one that it seems that they have. So I wish them luck. I hope it is a amazing success.
So on that subject then, Martine, there's 3 other games that we've got, or concepts that we've got to talk about in our list. This one is one that you probably wouldn't pick up and play with. Pick another one from the 3 that you might want to talk about.
Well, of the bunch, I think the Simon game is interesting. So this is the one from Crowd Supply, Pathbind Quest. And so this is marketed as a game that you play with light, sound, and your own imagination. And there's like this little itty bitty device with 4 buttons on it and a bunch of lights. And it reminds me very much of the game of Simon.
Yes.
I didn't see any major description on how the gameplay operates. So I'm sure there's more to it somewhere, but I hadn't gotten that far.
I think if this takes off, they can make a ton from this, because this is not a complicated device. This is a small, single chip 8-bit microcontroller with 4 buttons and some lights. And it seems to me that what they've built around that as a control device, which will cost a few dollars, if that, to produce. They're talking about the firmware and the game content being closed. It's a UK-based company, but I mean, as you both know, I kind of lurk on a lot of these electronics sites like Crowd Supply. So this is a site where you can go and crowdfund electronics projects. It's a bit more focused than Kickstarter, and they do a bit more, I think, due diligence in terms of like the products and what people are building. But what we see here is something that is described as having a whole open world fantasy adventure game inside of this, or that's driven by this little device. They've got pictures of a blurry, you can't really read it, and there's presumably good reasons for that, of the map and the instructions and these kind of things on paper. But I'm fascinated by this. It doesn't give us enough information yet to tell us what it is in detail, but it looks really interesting, and I think it, as I say, it could be a absolute blowaway success if they get it right.
I had 2 ideas when I saw this. I mean, you mentioned it doesn't provide us much, and that's because it's launching soon, so hopefully they'll provide us more then. But my 2 thoughts were, 1, this is the perfect size, and given kind of the price point that you're talking about, to be a thing in a little, plastic globe that's sitting in one of those claw machines that you get a whole adventure game, right? I could see this scale like that just be a huge hit for them on that type of way, and it cost to be trivial. And the second thing it made me think of is, and I think we've talked about these before, and I don't remember if either of you played them, but there used to be these games that came in a small little plastic bag. It was a pamphlet that was probably about 5 centimeters by 10, 15 centimeters large. You would have one 6-sided die in it, and there was like Melee, Wizardry, and these other ones. Yeah. And these were little adventure games that you could play in 5 minutes or less for a couple of people. And I loved those games, and I could see that same type of community growing up around something like this if they make the device programmable. If there's 6 games and that's it, I think they shut themselves out of a really interesting opportunity here.
It's not internet connected, which I also somewhat appeals to me, but it does mean that it's limited unless, as you say, it's reprogrammable somehow. I'm kind of fascinated by it. Let's talk about the other one, which has got the very physical element, which came across my radar this week. Sorry, most of these are all from me. It's as if I'm the only person around here that plays games. No, I'm joking. Which is this sci-fi, very hyper-real sci-fi simulator. So it finally hit Hackaday today, actually on the 29th, so 2 days ago. But it's been around the internet for about a week. And this is somebody who's made, using a collection of microcontrollers, primarily ESP32s, I believe, or possibly Raspberry Pi Picos. No, it's ISP32s. He's built an entire console for controlling a starship, and specifically the starship for the game Halcyon Dawn, which is an actual game. But the person who made Halcyon Dawn has now made the actual physical spaceship console so that you can sit at it and control it.
This is so cool. I know we've talked about people who do this for like driving simulators, etc., and they build these hyper realistic environments that can sit in and enjoy that thing. And I've been reading book 6, I think it is, of the Expanse series. And as soon as I saw it, I mentioned in the pre-show that it reminded me of sitting in the crash chair of the pilot of one of the crafts in that, and all the knobs and flip switches and dials, etc., and then the screens. People who do this amaze me because it's so much work and it's so fulfilling, but it's such a narrow market. Yeah. It's for them. Right, which is perfect.
There's a link in the Hackaday article that clicks through to a technical deep dive and photo gallery of the build, referring to John Scalzi and various other inspirations. But he talks about the fact that he's never going to release this game because it's so specific. Yeah. But he's built this, not just built the video game, but he's built this whole physical environment for playing the game and being in the game, and it's just incredible. It's the kind of thing that, again, deserved to have been at EMF if that was the kind of thing that person was into bringing along, especially again this year's theme there being space. It looks gorgeous,
like the massive Game Boy again.
Yeah, and thank you to our friends on Mastodon for sharing more context about the big Game Boy after the show last week. I'm grateful for you taking a listen to the show and then for sharing more information about the Game Boy, and also posting about it in the comments on our blog. That was awesome. Okay, so there's one more gaming link, and I think that may have been Michael Rowe's link actually, which is about Baldur's Gate.
Yep. Yeah, Baldur's Gate 3, and we've talked about this 2 years now. I think you've played it. I've played it. I made it all the way to the end and then died on the final boss battle. Tried multiple times and finally gave up. But it's all cool because it's replayable, etc. And the thing that I both like and dislike about it is kind of those tops-down click adventures. And so someone has made a mod for the game that allows you to play it in third-person mode, so the over-the-shoulder view. And I think I'm going to have to fire it back up just to test that out and see what it's like.
I'm curious about that. I'm not sure how. I'm sure it will make a difference, but I'm not. I'll be interested to see how much of a difference it makes. But weren't the original Baldur's Gate 1 and 2? They were third person, weren't they?
No, they were tops down.
Oh, they were top down. That's right. They were top down. Yeah.
And they're okay. I just. The fidelity of the environments in Baldur's Gate 3 is so nice. Being able to be down in it is something that I'm looking for.
I need to go back and revisit it. I've been playing the third or fourth re-release of Halo. They re-released the Halo. They did a Halo 20th anniversary edition or 25th anniversary edition.
Is that Halo Born Again?
No, it's Halo Combat Evolved. But I've been replaying the story of that again. In the latest iteration of gorgeous graphics and remasters and things, and it's very fun.
Hey, Andy, before we leave though, you had a friend of yours that has been doing a number of other games, and that we were kind of distracted by playing this spaceship.
Very good point
as well, didn't we?
Well, so Chris Pirillo has made a lot of things lately, and I think he's using a lot of AI to help him, but there's a lot of fun stuff. So arcade.pirillo.com is really just a absolute treasure trove of interesting little apps, tools, and games. And one of the things in there that I spent a little bit of time playing with is UFO Game, and it runs in the browser. It works pretty well on mobile as well. It's got a little thumb control for moving the UFO around, and you can fly around a little city, abduct humans or other things, blow up other things. I got through at least level 3 this morning just because it was a little thing to pick up and play for a while. So he's also, I've now distracted myself. I've gone on arcade.pirillo.com and noticed that he's got a Brick Gen, a Lego 3D generative brick art toy. I regret this already. But Yeah, absolutely. There's some fun things in there. He's also got Jimothy, a free 8-bit NES style game, starring Jimothy, Seattle's viral short-spined raccoon. So there's a bunch of things that are game related. There's a bunch of things that are not game related, and it's all worth having a look at.
And a rotary phone dial-up. Gosh, that would have been great. That could have been used at EMF camp. Looks like too.
There's a ton of stuff here that could have been good for that, for sure.
All right, well, friends, that kind of brings us to the end of our time for this episode. Hopefully this gave you some enjoyment too, and we're eager to have your suggestions, links, comments, etc. on Mastodon, on the blog post itself, and even more. And if you've got an idea of something you want to hear us talk about on the show, please do drop us a link with that as well, and we'll be sure to pick it up and bring it back the next time here on Games at Work.
We'll send our little 8-bit Game Boy characters to go collect your links.
There we go.
See ya.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. You've been listening to GamesAtWork.biz, the podcast about gaming technology and play. We are part of the Blueberry Podcasting Network, and would like to thank the band Random Encounters for their song, Big Blue. You can follow us at our website at GamesAtWork.biz.